Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Good evening to you out there, and welcome to another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name is Chioma Kalu. Now, a little backstory. In 2019, Nigeria launched a campaign, saying they would eradicate open defecation in the year 2025. Yes, this year. But now, despite the earlier promise they gave to us, Nigeria has admitted that eradicating open defecation by this year is not happening. Now, the target has now been pushed to 2030. But now, yet with nearly 48 million Nigerians still defecating in the open, you see weak enforcement, poor funding, and cultural norms threaten the derail. It threatens, to distract or even make the revised goal not possible. You get what I'm saying? Now, open defecation is not just a sanitation issue. It's a public health emergency. It spreads diseases, these things. It degrades the environment and strips millions of dignity. So tonight on Waste Prime Time, we would be finding out why Nigeria has continued to struggle with this despite campaigns, laws, policies, fundings, pledges, and also what must be done if we're definitely going to meet up with the 2030 deadline, or if that 2030 deadline is also going to become yet another missed promise. Now, remember, Ways is all about you, as you are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discussions. Head on now to YouTube at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends to join the show now. When I open my phone lines, I would really want to hear what you have to say on this particular topic because it touches everybody in Nigeria. I wanted to focus on just Lagos, but it goes beyond Lagos, everybody in Nigeria. And as we always do here on this show, here is a quote for you to ponder on. It says, ending open defecation is not just about building toilets. It's about changing mindsets and restoring dignity. And this was said by UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore. We're going to go into this much later, but before then, we're going to go on a break. And when we come back, I'll take you through my news interest for the day. Don't go away. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about open defecation. But before we get into the conversations, here are a few news stories that caught my attention. The first one says, Air Peace crew tested positive for alcohol and drugs. You know, this is according to NSIB report. The story says the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau has indicted an Air Peace pilot and co-pilot for taking hard drugs and alcohol. Now, the accident investigators tested the crew positive for the substances after the aircraft they flew was involved in a runway excursion at the Port Harcourt International Airport on July 13, 2025. Now, this was contained in a preliminary report signed by the Director of Public Affairs and Family Assistance at the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, Mrs. Bimbo Olawumi Oladeji. You know, she made this available on Friday. It will be recalled that an Air Peace aircraft on Sunday morning of the 13th of July had a runway excursion after landing at the Port Harcourt International Airport. The aircraft veered off the runway without any damage. Now, for those wondering, a runway excursion is when an aircraft veers off the side of or overruns the end of the runway during takeoff or landing. Excursions are most often caused by miscommunications, mistakes, faulty gear, and potholes on runways, among others. But with the discovery, pilots' intoxication has been added to the list of causes. Now, according to the NSIB reports, the pilots who were flying an Air Peace aircraft, Boeing 737, were involved in a serious incident while carrying 103 passengers. Now, this is scary. It's really scary. Imagine being on a flight and you realize, or you get to find out that your pilot is either high on drugs or alcohol. There's some things that should not even be heard of. How would you endanger people's lives like that? Why would you do that? This shouldn't be taken lightly. I want to believe that these pilots are suspended as we speak, because now Air Peace is one of Nigeria's leading aircraft, and people sort of have a lot of confidence in them. So it's going to be really appalling to have this on their record. It's very scary, like I said. So imagine after they had that excursion, people, you know, lost their lives or something just happened, right? We shouldn't allow ourselves get there. And you as a pilot, though, how do you do that? You know, the people are entrusting you, you know, with their lives. You're carrying families. Anyway, what I have to say is, Air Peace, I trust you know what to do. I trust your management is going to handle this, you know, the right way, because we shouldn't be hearing things like this in the aviation sector. Now, moving on to my second story. It says Dangote Refinery begins free petrol delivery on Monday, slashes price to 841 per litre. Interesting times. Dangote Refinery, the story has it, you know, has said it will commence free direct supply of petrol across the country from Monday, September 15th. The refinery also slashed petrol retail prices to 841 per litre in Lagos and the southwest, of course. For Abuja, Edo, Kwara, Rivers, and Delta states, it will be 851 per litre. He made the announcement in a post on X on Thursday. Now, on the free delivery scheme, Dangote Refinery said it will start with 11 states and subsequently expand our operations into other states. According to the post, all petrol station owners nationwide are invited to register for free delivery and other benefits. Recall that on June 15th, the refinery announced its acquisition of 4,000 new compressed natural gas CNG-powered tankers. Now, Dangote Refinery added that the target was 10,000 CNG-powered trucks rollout this year to enhance logistics and reduce costs of distribution. I think this is good news, but If you ask me, this fuel price has to drop further. It really has to. But kudos to Dangote. He's been working around the clock, and I must commend him, right? I mean, when good people do good things in the country, you have to give them the accolades. So, yes, kudos to them. And finally, on my story of interest, it says 10 billion naira recovered for aggrieved consumers in 6 months, says FCCPC. Now, the story says the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has said over 10 billion naira was recovered for aggrieved consumers in Nigeria between March and August 2025, even as it listed the banking, fast-moving consumer goods and fintech sectors as leading the top 10 sectors from where the commission received the highest number of consumer complaints during the period. The findings revealed that the banking sector is the dominant source of consumer complaints, both in volume and financial exposure, highlighting recurring issues in loan deductions, account charges, and transaction disputes, and reflecting public reliance on FCCPC to intervene in systemic financial service challenges. Now, reacting to the findings, Executive Vice Chairman, who also doubles as the Chief Executive Officer of FCCPC, Mr. Tunji Bello, he said these numbers are not just statistics. They tell a story of consumer frustration and the daily challenges Nigerians face in essential services. Now, however, FCCPC is determined to hold businesses accountable, ensure compliance with the FCCPA, and promote fair market practices that protect the welfare of all consumers. Now that's FCCPC. This is one government agency that I must say I'm very proud of. I mean, I think for the past 2 years now, I've been working, I've been following the agency closely, and they've been awarded, they've been receiving awards for good conduct. I mean, they're exceptional. Their services, though they might have their flaws like every other person or every other agency, but they're doing really good. And it's one agency I know most consumers, we Nigerians, we know when we complain, we can get a response, as quickly as we should. So kudos to them. And then they're coming out to say they have recovered over 10 billion, for consumers in 6 months. That is a great step in the right direction. All right, thank you so much for listening to my news interest for the day. We're going to go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll dive into our topic of tonight. Don't go anywhere.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Thank you for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, tonight's discussion is centered on ending open defecation. And we're asking, can Nigeria meet the global 2030 target? Let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation by sending an SMS or WhatsApp to 08180384663. Also, my phone lines are open now. You can call on 070-2500-7749 and also on 0701-4242-420. Let me hear your insights. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your opinions on this particular topic. Now, you see, like I said earlier, the fight against open defecation is more than just a sanitation goal. It's about health. It's about Nigeria's credibility on the world stage. And with 48 million citizens still without access to basic toilets and the 2025 targets already missed, you see, the 2030 deadline now hangs in a balance. So now, what are the gaps? Why are we still here? You know, and how do we move forward? These are the questions begging answers. And tonight, I am joined by my guest, Dorcas Lokusa, who is a member of the National Task Group on Sanitation. Good evening, ma'am, and thank you for joining me tonight. Are you there, ma'am? Miss Dorcas? Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you for joining in. I think we've been having a bit of technical glitch, but I'm glad I have you now.
The network is not too good.
It's okay. So let's dive right into it. And as a member now of the National Task Group, I think that's Task Force Group on Sanitation, right? From your perspective, why do you think Nigeria has been, you know, struggling to meet this sanitation target, despite the numerous government policies that have been put in place? Because now, the first target was put in 2019. It was in 2019 we said, oh, 2025 is going to be the year we're going to be open defecation free in Nigeria totally. And now 2024 we discovered that no, that target isn't happening, and then we'll push it to 2030. And then even right now it's seeming like the 2030 target is not feasible. So what do you have to say? Why are we struggling?
Okay, Choma.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that. Those are issues that...
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go ahead.
Okay, I said sanitation issues are issues that border on hygiene, sanitation, you know, and they are very critical. And like you rightly said, the federal government declared 2025 as the year of ending open defecation in Nigeria. And since we've been pursuing it with Clean Nigeria campaign that was launched by former President Muhammadu Buhari. But with several policies and programs in Nigeria, the political will to drive them is not there. You understand? We have 774 local governments in Nigeria, and as we speak, we have only 149 local governments that have been declared open defecation free. So you can imagine having 600 and something local governments left that are still open defecation, that are still practicing open defecation. So to me, even the 2030 year is not feasible.
Wow. Well, why would you say that, though?
Okay, it involves a lot of money, and you know, it has to do with behavioral change. And you know, so behavioral change takes a long time to occur. It's not just a one-off thing. You know, you have to work on the minds of the people to accept it.
Okay. Please confirm you can hear me before I go on with my next question. Ms. Dorcas? Anyway, just as I wait for her to reconnect. Please tell me when you can hear me, madam.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so the report says Nigeria needs about 11.5 million toilets to meet this 2030 target. Where are we with this?
More than that. We need more than that.
Okay, why
you
do you
understand
say
what
so?
I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If you consider a population of 300 or more than 300 million people, and then you agree with me that we need more than 11 million toilets. Even if some people are sharing, which is what we say, the protocol say the protocol for validation of open defecation-free communities says at least two families can share a toilet, right?
Wow.
So if two families can share a toilet and then you have a population of more than 300 million, then what are we saying?
Wow. So even these figures that we have seen that they put out, it doesn't seem like they're even correct from what you're saying.
They're just conservative figures. If you think about it, they're conservative figures. If you go on the field, you will discover that even these toilets that we're talking about what the people can afford. You understand? Not the toilets that a human being should use. We're just talking about dignity, something that you can use at least, that a woman can be safe going to the toilet and all that. So these pit toilets, and for now we also have Satoplas that we are using, not to talk of the WC toilet. So you would discover that what we are talking about is a far cry from the reality of what is on ground.
If I understand you correctly, we're not talking about WC toilets. We're talking about makeshift toilets. Is that what you're saying? That's what we are saying, that two families can even share?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about pit latrines. That is the least that somebody can have. Pit toilets. We're not talking about WC or the poor flush. Because if you get the community, you might just be counting like 2, 3, 4 poor flush, maybe Satoplast, this thing, which is a plastic-made kind of toilet hole that you can use little water to flush. Before you can talk about WC. Sometimes you can hardly see a WC in a rural community. So what we're talking is a far cry from the reality that is on ground.
But why is that the case? Don't we have budgetary allocations for these things, at least to get the standard WC, at least? We're not asking anything luxurious.
Oh, my sister, you know the case in Nigeria, even when their budgets are allocated for that, you don't know where the budgets fly into. You understand? But for me, what I tell people is that if you must build a house, you must first think of building a toilet because you must eat. So if you are providing a kitchen for cooking and you buy the toilet, then what are you doing? Because if you eat, you must defecate.
Yes.
But before this issue of sanitation started, a lot of our people were using this thing, places in their communities where a lot of people can just go there as they're defecating, they are discussing local issues, they're discussing family issues. So you find a lot of people going there. The women have their sides where they're sitting.
Yes.
To shit. I call it shit. They're shitting and then side. So they feel free going.
I think I lost her. But this is this is mind-blowing. So now even the reports telling us, we need like 11.5 million toilets. This is a woman on the field, and she's telling us, some of these toilets that we are even talking about, we're not talking about the regular WC. We're talking about makeshift toilets. We're talking about pit latrines. I was going to get there with her, the health impact of such toilets. Because now, this has even moved from, open defecation, maybe on the road, like we see it. We're now talking about something, like she said, something hygienic. It has to be something hygienic for these people. If not, their health is going to be in shambles. And now, like I asked her, the budgetary allocations for these things, what happened to them? And I think this goes to the government as well. You can't sit up there and, tell us things in press conferences, and there's no follow-up to it. There's nobody asking questions. There's nobody, telling us, giving us the rundown, the progress of these things. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, right? And I even wanted to find out, because sometimes, I understand sometimes this, the blame is to be shared. One has to go to infrastructure. The other has to go to, the behavioral and, cultural receptivity of the people around there. Who bears the most, blame in this case? Who should we even hold accountable? A lot of questions, really. A lot of questions, really. Because if you're telling me that out of 774 local governments in Nigeria, just 149 is open defecation free. There's no, we have over 500 local governments left. That's really sad. If you live in Lagos, Lagos is a menace. Just walk from one point A to point B. You're seeing the whole road messed up. It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be, right? I see at a few bus stops in this city. I mean, I see a few makeshift, what they call toilets, and how they make it. They use zinc to just build something and use a curtain, put a curtain there, and that's it. This is not feasible. It's not how we should be living in 2025. So, like I've said earlier, the 2030 is not even feasible. There's no realistic, it's not realistic, rather. We are already at risk. We are already at risk in this country with the way we are going. And it's really sad. Let me see if I have my guest back. Madam Dorcas, are you still with us? Can
Hello?
you hear me? Can you hear me, ma'am? Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can perfectly. So before you left, I was asking now, how much of the challenge is infrastructural and how much is, behavioral based on the people?
Say 70% is infrastructure, 30% is behavioral. Because if the government can at least provide some structures, sort of, they're not saying build toilet for the people, but enabling environment for them to be able to build toilets. You understand? Nobody wants to eat his own shit if he knows that eating shit is bad to his health. Understand? But that's why I think this is behavioral. So by the time you provide the platform for them to learn that what they're doing is not good, they will learn. Understand? They will drive culture and they will build this. But the enough environment, what you said, the encouragement from government about making a door open to you've not provided UNICEF is the one that is administering most of these programs across the country. And so they need some percentage of money from the federal government. And then they bring the and so
Madam Dorcas, we'll just quickly go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're talking about open defecation in Nigeria and how possible it is for us to meet our 2030 targets. And I'm talking to Madam Dorcas Lokusa, who is a member of the tax group on sanitation, National Tax Group on Sanitation. Madam Dorcas, are you still with me?
I am.
Great, thank you. So, India declared itself open defecation free in 2019 after, massive campaigns. What lessons do you think Nigeria can draw from, such large-scale efforts?
First of all, I would say for us to achieve open defecation free 2020, there has to be political will to drive the process, not just lip service, like we usually do in this country. The political class must have to put in a lot of effort to make it that it happens. I think that was what India did. And having a political will means wanting to do it and pushing it with your resources. The resources are not just financial resources, but the human resources that we have. We have a lot of resourceful people who are doing that. You understand what I'm saying? And so if the political will is in place, we can make it happen. But without that, I don't see it happening.
But then why do sanitation take the back seat when it comes to Nigeria's governance? Compared to security, energy sector, why is it that we don't pay closer attention to these things in this country? Why do you think that is?
It's because we take a lot of things for granted. Sanitation is not looked at as a serious situation, as a serious venture. But in some other climes, sanitation is a very serious matter because people even make money from it. You can see that even packing of refuse in our cities is a challenge. But if you go to other places, a lot of people are providing those services and earning from them, even recycling and making money out of that. But here, we are not given to such things. We just take things for granted, and I think that's where we are. If we can take it serious, like other climes, we will get it. But if not, I tell you, probably because of cultural backgrounds and religious backgrounds and all that, we have a lot of different cultures and different religious affiliations, and some people hide under the cloak of religion and do a lot of things that are unthinkable.
Okay, so now we've talked about the government. Enough, right? What role now should the people what can they do for themselves? These communities, especially those in the rural areas, what can they do for themselves? Like you rightly mentioned earlier, this is a case of hygiene first, right? As the government is not forthcoming with these promises and all of that, what do you think they can do for themselves as regard eradicating open defecation?
You know, among several other things that we do behavioral change campaigns.
Okay.
We do awareness creation. You understand? For somebody to know that what he's doing is bad, he has to be aware first before he can decide that, okay, let me change from this practice I've been doing over the years that has been costing my health and finances. That's where we start from. We don't just step into a community and we just start talking about sanitation. We do those things first. And so there's what we call community-led total sanitation.
Okay.
It has to be driven by the community. They have to take ownership of it so that they can do it even if people are not there. You understand? Even if the government is not there, they have to own it, knowing that it is for their good.
That's right.
And so we do all those things. And like I was saying, it takes money. Mobilizing people to go into a community or a local government takes money, takes resources, takes time. Sometimes it takes over 1 or 2 years before a local government can be declared ODF. And so that's what I'm saying, why I'm saying that it takes money. And so the government also has to come in. The people don't have that money. And that's why they are not doing it. And it has to be a total community sanitation where you have marketplaces, there have to be toilets and filling stations, there has to be toilet and all that. So it's a holistic thing. It's not just a one-stop thing. You understand?
Yeah.
So the government must step in to help the people, even if the people are willing to do it. That's where we tell them, do the one that you can afford. If it's a pit latrine, dig it. But it must have a hand washing facility, and you can use either ash or soap. If you cannot afford soap, use ash, because if you have a toilet and you are not washing your hands, you are still distributing your shit for other people to eat. And so there are very simple things we teach them to do, like having a tippy tap where they cannot have a hand washing basin and all that. You understand? So they are doing it, but like I said, it's not holistic.
Yeah.
You understand? So the government, anyhow, since the people cannot do it themselves alone, government has to come in. So from local government to state government to federal government, all their hands must be on deck to see that Nigeria becomes open defecation 2030. If what they are saying is not lip service, for exactly what they want.
Okay, so now let's talk about penalties. Are there penalties, for open defecation? Now, and if there are they really enforced, or they're just, mere lip singing, like you said?
Okay, for communities where they are open defecation free, they usually have penalties. And they are enforced by the communities. If you go to some communities during burials or naming ceremonies or weddings, you see people who are enforcers going around and checking, and they have fines like from 1,000, and sometimes asking you to pack the sheet or doing something that will make you feel ashamed, of doing that next time. And so it deters people from defecating in the open. But like I said, we have 774 local governments, and only 149 as we speak are open defecation free. So you can imagine the volume of shit we are eating in Nigeria.
I mean, this is really sad. It's really sad.
Because you understand what I'm saying? The gravity is so scary that if you know what it is, the person selling food, the vendor, your food vendor, does he or she have a toilet? You don't know. And you don't know where he or she is cooking. And you don't know if after using the toilet, they wash their hands. But they bring food out and we all go there to eat. So we're just sharing shit in Nigeria and eating shit. It's so scary. But when you talk, a lot of people, we just jettison it and say, I beg. You understand? They say, hygiene, no, they kill Africa. But hygiene is killing us. You understand?
It is.
Once you hear somebody say, I have typhoid, or, you just know that the person has eaten his or another person's shit.
That's,
you understand?
It's really sad.
So it's so sad, but that's where we are. And if we must achieve that, we have to change our attitude towards providing hygiene and sanitation services to our people.
Okay, so following up, right? I mean, we've talked about the government, like I said. What are the roles of the PPPs, the public-private partnerships? What roles do they play, in building sustainable sanitation infrastructure for us here in Nigeria?
Okay, and the private participation, sector participation, is what brought about the Satoplast, which is that toilet mouth, the plastic toilet mouth that you can use little water to push down your shit after doing your shit. You understand? It's a private partner that produced that. And it goes for affordable price. And then we have some private people that are building toilets in markets and some other places and collecting revenue for it. Okay. You use the toilet, you pay them a token, which is commendable and which is what should happen. If government cannot do it, private investors can invest in providing sanitation facilities. And in that case, we have sanitation marketing.
Okay.
Where they market sanitation for would-be investors to invest.
Okay.
So we are calling on investors to invest in this area. If you go around the country and you check the sanitation facilities at filling stations, at restaurants, and all that, you will discover that they are very, very deficient. Sometimes you have to queue to wait for one to go in and come out before you can go.
Yes.
And so we are calling on private partner participation to increase so that we can have better services.
Not just the queues in these places. You also, when you go in, you wonder their maintenance culture. Because now that's another problem Nigeria has. Maintenance culture. So private sectors can invest all they want, but we don't have the willpower to maintain these things. And that's why most of them are not sustainable. What do you have to say to that?
Exactly so. So that's why we're calling for a change of behavior. The majority of the issues we have in this country are behavioral oriented. You understand? We just don't mind anything. Anything goes. We don't take another person's business or property as something.
Yeah.
You understand? We just go in there, we mess it up, we come out. Even the people that are employed to man these places, how do they man them?
Exactly.
So we have to, if we must experience any kind of development or change in this country and in that sector, we have to change our behavior. And it also boils down to us not being patriotic enough. We are not patriotic enough. We don't love this country enough. But if we remember that we do not have another country except this one, if you travel to any country in the world, you are just a stranger there. And you will still come back to your own country, which is Nigeria. So if we treat Nigeria well, Nigeria will treat us well. That is my own ideology.
Okay, so let's move to tech. Are there innovations, low-cost sanitation technologies that, we can put in place to accelerate the progress so that we'll be able to meet our 2030 targets? Because I'm particular about it.
Yes, when we go around communities, we discover some new innovations that the community people are making themselves in order to move up the sanitation ladder. We teach them to move up the sanitation ladder from using the pit toilet to maybe just doing the pit toilet, putting cement, flooring it, and maybe making some kind of designs like that. Some people even build toilet seats by themselves. And you see a lot of innovations, but the innovation that I was talking about, which is the Satoplast, is one of the innovations that has boosted the drive for build the toilet, use the toilet. That's what we tell them. That's the campaign. Build the toilet, use the toilet, and wash your hand after using. So that Satoplast is affordable, is cheap, it can be easily moved from one place to another, and so even community people have become vendors for it. They buy it and they vent to their people for just a little fee and all that, and teach them how to use. So that is one of the innovations that has paved way for this process to move on, apart from the local ones that they do themselves. And they build it with mud, they build it with stick, whatever they can grab. We ask them to do it, cover it for dignity, and they're using it.
All right, just before I let you go, madam, if we fail as a country now to end this open defecation by 2030, what long-term consequences will this have on Nigeria's global reputation and development goals?
It means we are spending more money on medical bills, and you know what that means. We don't even have good medical facilities in this country, and so we'll keep spending money on medical bills, and our health will keep deteriorating, and that will slow down the development of this country. Because if any one of us gets sick from eating our own shit and we die, Nigeria has lost, we ourselves have lost. And then it will not move Nigeria up the sanitation ladder, sanitation ladder, and that can slow down a lot of things that would have come to this country, because sanitation goes with water.
Yes.
And you know that if there is no water, sanitation cannot be properly handled. And a lot of these international organizations that are coming are trying to preach sanitation, and then when the people adapt and they're doing it and they see, they dig boreholes for them. And so that also reduces the counts of people having to travel long distances to go and look for water. And so all those things Nigeria will lose.
All right.
You understand? So.
Anyway, thank you so much, madam. Thank you for joining me. And I must say, kudos to your team. You guys are doing a very great job, because there has to be someone that will stand up and play the advocacy role in the country, and that's exactly what you people are doing. Thank you for being on the field, and thank you for bringing this advocacy to the doorsteps of those that really need to hear it. Anyway, that's all for tonight. As you can see, tonight's conversation has shown that open defecation in Nigeria is more than a sanitation issue. It's a crisis of health and governance, with millions of Nigerians still without access to safe toilets. I mean, we've heard it from the experts telling us that these safe toilets we're even talking about, some people just have the pit latrine and makeshift toilets. We see rising risk of disease, threats, to women and children, and an environment under constant pressure. The 2030 target is fast approaching. Whether we like it or not, it's 2025 already. Yet the pace of action tells us that we are far from being prepared. But this is not a battle we can win. We cannot win, rather. I know we can win this. Like she said, if we leave lip service and have the appropriate willpower. Nigeria, in its entirety, everybody involved, have to summon that willpower. Sanitation is not charity. Sanitation is public health, and it is development, like we have heard from our conversation. And until every citizen can relieve themselves in safety and dignity, our nation's growth remains incompetent. Now, thank you so much for listening to me. And before I go, do ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and most importantly, follow all our social media engagements. And remember to like, share, comment, and invite your friends and family to watch us and follow us. If you missed the quotes for tonight, here it is. It says, ending open defecation is not just about building toilets, it's about changing mindsets and restoring dignity. And this was said by UNICEF Executive Director Henrietta Fore. I'll see you Monday. Do enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.